All right, let's just jump right in. I want to ask you something about our crazy, hyper-connected world. Are you a sheep online? I know, it sounds a little harsh, but it turns out a philosopher from 150 years ago was wrestling with this exact same idea. And what he came up with is, believe it or not, more relevant now than ever. But seriously, just for a second, think about it. When you're scrolling through your feed or you're about to post something, is that really you making the call? Or do you ever feel like you're just kind of drifting along, pulled by whatever's popular that day? You know the feeling, right? That little rush when the likes start rolling in. That subtle pressure to try the latest trend or use the new slang. Or maybe you find yourself nodding along with some hot take you haven't really thought about just because it seems like everyone on your feed agrees with it.
And the wild part is, this isn't some new problem that came with the internet. A brilliant and famously mustachioed philosopher named Friedrich Nietzsche was thinking about this exact human tendency way before the first tweet was ever sent.
He even had a specific German word for it, Herdenmenschheit. It literally means herd humanity. It's his term for that powerful, almost magnetic pull we all feel to just go along with the crowd without ever really stopping to ask, wait, why am I even doing this?
So we've put a name to the behavior. But that brings us to our first section, and the real heart of what Nietzsche was trying to figure out.
So the big question is, why? Why do we do this? I mean, we can blame social media algorithms or peer pressure, but what's the real fundamental reason it's so easy to just fall in line and become part of the herd?
And Nietzsche's answer, wow, it was radical for his time. And honestly, it still is today. He said the reason isn't out there in your phone or in the world. The real source of that herd instinct, it's inside your own mind.
Which leads us straight into section 2, where we get into what he called the voices inside. And trust me, this is where things get really fascinating.
Okay, get ready, because this is a pretty mind-bending idea. What if you, your sense of self, isn't just one single unified commander in charge? What if your consciousness is actually more like a noisy meeting room, filled with a whole bunch of different voices, all shouting over each other?
Think about the chatter in your own head when you're about to post something online. It's a whole chorus of voices, isn't it? There's one part whispering, get more likes. Another part is the anxious one, begging, don't be weird. Then you've got the people pleaser chiming in, just agree with everyone. And of course, that loud, persistent voice asking, but what will they think?
So Nietzsche took this idea all the way. He completely threw out that old-school idea that each of us has one single, unchanging soul that defines who we are from birth to death.
In fact, he actually wrote that a person could be happy to have, and I love this phrase, not one immortal soul, but viele sterbliche Seelen. That's German for many mortal souls. A whole collection of temporary, shifting desires and points of view that make up who we are.
And here's the kicker. Nietzsche believed that most of those little souls, those little voices in our heads, they aren't even originally ours. They're just echoes. Echoes of our parents, our culture, our friends, and yeah, our social media feeds. Basically, the herd isn't just something we see outside. We've actually let it move in and set up shop inside our heads.
So what? Are we just doomed to be puppets for these internal echoes? Nietzsche would say, no way. Which brings us to section 3 and his path forward, overcoming the herd.
Nietzsche had a powerful word for this process, Überwindung. It means self-overcoming. See, for him, the real battle isn't against some enemy out there in the world. It's about mastering that noisy chorus of voices inside you, about becoming the conductor of your own inner orchestra instead of just letting the loudest section run the whole show.
So how do you actually do this? Well, his work suggests a pretty clear 3-step practice. First, you just have to notice. The next time you feel that powerful urge to conform, just pause and recognize it for what it is. That's the herd voice talking. Second, you question it. You have to interrogate that thought. Wait a minute, is this really my opinion? Or am I just repeating something I scrolled past? And finally, you choose. You make a conscious decision to act based on what you actually value, not just for the likes or the approval of the crowd.
Now, this whole path of self-overcoming, it's not just some abstract mental exercise. It leads to a very specific and very powerful kind of person. And that's our final section, becoming a free spirit.
And this is a really important point. Nietzsche is not telling you to go live in a cave and disconnect from everyone. The goal isn't to leave the herd entirely. The goal is to stop being led by the herd and to start leading yourself, even when you're standing right in the middle of it. And the person who achieves this is what he called the Freier Geist,
the free spirit. This is someone who has done the hard work of Überwindung. They don't just accept the values they're given. They create their own. Their actions are guided by an internal compass, not by whatever way the wind of public opinion is blowing that day.
And the contrast here is just so clear. The herd member, well, they just react. They're always seeking approval, they follow, they don't lead, and they're afraid of being different. But the free spirit, they create. They seek their own truth, they question everything, and they don't fear being different, they actually value their own individuality.
So, the next time you pick up your phone and you feel that pull, remember those voices inside. And ask yourself Nietzsche's big question. Is the herd running the show, or are you the one who's truly in charge?